Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, lawmakers scrutinizing the 2020 national budget.
Definitely po, yung budget, kailangan himayin pa at ayusin. No? But we will make sure it's transparent at walang pork or park funds.
Is the proposed budget insertion and pork barrel free?
Some issues and concerns that need to be clarified.
Also, Vice President Leni Robredo as the anti-drug czar.
Pag sineryoso ng lahat at naramdaman na laban natin to lahat, we will be able to make a lot of headway.
Lifting martial law in Mindanao.
Kung ako lang, I will not recommend anymore this station.
And security concerns over alleged military China deals.
Nasa 40 times siguro yung kanilang lakas kesa sa ating tanggulang pambansa.
Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. The debate on the 2020 national budget continues with some senators raising concerns on the proposed budget. But how can lawmakers ensure that next year's budget is free from pork or insertions? Also, Vice President Leni Robredo taking on the challenge as the country's anti-drug czar, but Malacanang clarifies that she is not a cabinet member and warns that she could easily be fired if she reveals state secrets to foreign entities. Let's go straight to the source of this story. We have Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson. Senator, good to see you again.
Thank you. Good morning. Good to see you
I know
again.
you're so busy with the budget, huh?
We are so busy.
Thanks for the time, sir. Let me start first with VP Leni Robredo. I know that you spoke to her as well, but 2 weeks into the job, almost 2 weeks since she took on the post. How's she doing so far?
Well, I think she's saying all the right things and doing all the right things because the first thing that she did was to meet with the members of ICAD, and there are 20 agencies
under the
involved.
ICAD. Yeah. What about your thoughts on her meeting with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and U.S. officials with the FBI and the Drug Enforcement
Yeah,
Agency?
when she consulted me before she met with ICAD, I suggested to her that i-maximize yung network, with foreign counterparts. I mentioned to her USDA, even Hong Kong Narcotics Bureau, based on our own experience. But now, medyo magulo sa Hong Kong. Of course, Taiwan, Thailand, Australia, because she would need all the information that she could have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does she also need all the information that the ICAD has, sir?
I think so, yes, because she's involved in policy making, policy formulation, so she'll be needing all the basic information to formulate policies and to give direction.
Does she need to have a copy of the list of high-value targets, sir?
I think so, yes, because that's a basic information. Because kung hindi niya alam yung nando sa high-value target list, and then how could she proceed in the first place?
But DJ Aaron Aquino is saying she doesn't need to have that.
But on second thought, he said he's going to submit it to her in private.
Okay.
Which is the right thing to do because these are classified information. And I think the Vice President knows how to handle classified information. Kasi being the second highest official, I think she has the necessary security clearance to handle. And she knows the consequences in case she would share it to unauthorized persons, much less dun sa mga foreign counterparts or foreign governments.
So why do you think there are some members of the ICAD who are uncomfortable with possibly sharing confidential information with the Vice President?
It's a given because she belongs to the opposition and yung reservations, yung apprehension is valid. No?
Oh, you think it's valid?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's valid. Kaya nga mabuti rin, there's a reminder from the President himself na she could be fired. And I think that's a fair reminder. But of course, that should be qualified by the fact that the Vice President knows or should know how to handle classified information.
Is it really, some already have said it's a very awkward situation. So, putting it out there, sir, yung wala ng bolahan, it's really an awkward situation.
The situation itself is awkward from the very beginning because the Vice President belongs to the opposition. And precisely, she was not allowed to attend cabinet meetings before her appointment. when she was heading HADSI, because the president and the members of the cabinet, some members of the cabinet, siguro yung mga security cluster, were uncomfortable, no? With her joining cabinet meetings.
So moving forward, Senator, what do you think, or where should she focus on as chair of the ICAD?
As chair of the ICAD, she should focus on policies, no? Direction, and consolidation of all the efforts. No? Kasi marami namang components law enforcement, justice,
Correct.
advocacy, rehabilitation, reintegration. Marami siyang pwedeng pagtunan ng pansin. But yung law enforcement is part of the clusters, di ba?
Dapat ba makialam pa siya sa law enforcement, sir?
Well, hindi sa makialam on the ground. Hindi makialam na mag hands-on or sumama or yung tactical involvement, engagement. Hindi kailangan. But at least she should know kung ano yung general direction ng law enforcement. Meaning, ano ba yung focus? Would law enforcement continue focusing on the demand side? Because two-pronged demand saka supply. Now, ang kanyang thinking, and I agreed with her when we met, that focus should be more on the supply side. Because pag supply side, ito yung mga high-value targets, ito yung mga suppliers, ito yung mga big drug lords. Demand side, ito yung posibleng yung mga nakachinelas, naka-shorts, and small-time street pushers, and even users. Yeah.
Sir, when of course, you were chief of the PNP, sir, pag tinignan po ba nyo now the war on drugs of the president, and some are saying that they haven't really gotten big fish, high-value targets. Do you agree, sir? What is your assessment?
Meron din, but not enough. Ang focus kasi masyado ng mga police, yung law enforcement, doon sa demand side. Kasi ito yung mga users, mga pushers. But meron din naman sila nakukuha na malalaking quantity in so many operations. But then, nasaan yung mga suspects? Mukhang doon nagkukulang because more often than not, nakaalis na yung suspect, nahuli lang yung shabu. But then they can always bring in precursors or even meth in large quantities. In fact, experience would tell us during our initial hearings doon sa Valenzuela, doon sa Malabon, di ba? Meron muna makakawala and then may mahuhuli. Yung sa Valenzuela, for example, meron na nakawala, napunta sa Manila, and napunta sa San Juan, and those are large quantities. Ang nakuha sa Valenzuela, kukunti na lang.
So, you're saying that marami pong nahuhuli in large quantities, sir. Pero wala pa talagang masyadong nahuhuli na large, big-time suspects.
Yeah, big time.
Is that correct,
Yeah.
sir? So, nakukuha, nahahanap din sa mga villages, nahahanap sa mga warehouse, pero hindi talaga nahahanap yung supply.
And this is complicated by the so-called rogues in uniform, di ba? Yung mga ninja cops, because they would develop intelligence against big-time drug pushers or big-time drug suspects. But then, instead of really hailing them to court, so to speak, nagkakalagayan. As in the case doon sa Pampanga, hindi ba? Sa Mexico, Pampanga.
So, just because you mentioned that, sir, did the former PNP chief, Oscar Albayalde, does he deserve being part of the complaint filed by the CIDG to the DOJ?
And the DOJ has resolved the case or the complaint lodged against former Chief PNP Albayalde. And, I don't want to preempt the DOJ kung ano yung findings nila, kung may probable cause, or kung i-dismiss nila yung case against Albayalde.
Pero kung kayo ang PNP chief at narinig niyo po na may ganitong klaseng... Sorry, I know you were in the hearing, sir, and there were a number of hearings on this na nag-evolve nga from one thing to another. There is really such a thing as command responsibility.
There is.
Absolutely.
In the uniform service, yun, talagang may command responsibility.
War on drugs, sir. If you were to describe the war on drugs of the Duterte administration, is it a success or a failure, and in between?
Well, in some aspects, yes, may success, Pero meron ding siguro lacking in its implementation. Yan.
As to where?
We cannot categorize, yung mga high
Value na
target,
suspects.
yeah.
I see. Which, yun na nga, gusto din naman po ni Vice President tingnan. Gusto niya makita itong
Mag-refocus, yeah.
listahan na to. In fact, sir, we also had General De Bolsinas here. Siya din po nagsabi na in as much as you want to get the pushers, medyo masyadong nauubos yung oras ng police dun sa mga maliliit and time to really find the source.
But we have the PIDEA that should focus more on the big drug traffickers, ano. If you go back in time, yung panahon ni Al Capone, di ba, yung untouchables, di ba, they focused, yung nagbuo ng task force si J. Edgar Hoover, yung FBI, the very famous FBI director. Ang instruction niya, okay, you can get the small fries, pero para lang kumuha kayo ng information to reach to the top, no? Of course, iba yung situation sa United States because they have this plea bargaining. No, they can still file charges against the small-time criminals and then bargain with him for information, more information to reach the top. But the small-time criminal would still be punished, but with the lower
offense.
offense.
Okay, so just to be clear on this, you have the Vice President, an anti-drug czar, you have DG Aquino co-chairing this. Do you see a conflict now between the two of them? Possibly a lack of trust. You had DG Aquino, I remember, sir, we had him sabi nga niya na he thinks she will fail. But sabi niya, we give them the full support. Do you honestly think, sir, that the members of the ICAD will give their full support to Vice President Leni Robredo?
Well, I don't want to inject malice, ano? And on thinking objectively, I'd like to think that they would give her the full support, ano? But as
But if reality sets in, sir, without
as we
imputing
see it
malice,
now, ano? As we see it now, yung mga announcements, mukhang hindi doon ang direksyon. And as early as possible, I think the two of them, kasi si Director General Aerol lang naman yung medyo may differences with the Vice President. All the others, mukhang okay naman yung pakikitungo sa kanya. DDB Chair Cuy, and then of course Chief PNP or OIC Gamboa. May mga natural allies naman for the sake of the overall objective.
Why would DG Aquino have some sort of conflict with her? He's the chair, so he's parang the one on top of everyone else,
That
sir.
I really don't know. I cannot read his mind, ano? Kasi coming out sa media na projecting all these differences, all this, yung misunderstanding, parang hindi tama rin doon sa all-out war against drugs.
Yeah, and what does that say to the kind of possible, sir, please help me understand it, kind of respect that should be given to the Vice President as Vice President and anti-drug czar?
The situation itself is awkward because DG Aquino is the chair, no, of ICAD. Ang ranggo niya, USEC. Here comes the co-chairperson who is the Vice President. Ang unang announcement, cabinet members or secretary. So how would the co-chairperson be secretary and the chairperson is USEC? So now it's being corrected by Malacanang. Sabi niya, no, I did not even sign her appointment as a cabinet member. So yun ang awkward. They really have to sort it out for the sake of the drug war, so to speak.
But how does the Vice President sort it out? First, I remember they said that she was a cabinet rank. In fact, Secretary Panel said she should just go to the meetings on, I think, Tuesday night. Dapat magpunta lang siya doon. And then ngayon sinabi ni Presidente, hindi siya cabinet rank. What does she need to do? Let's go back just very quickly, sir. When the President appointed her, Secretary Panel called her, pinakita pa sa media. How should she proceed from here on then?
Well, upon her appointment, the first thing that she should have done, kung merong opportunity, was to clarify yung parameters ng kanyang responsibilities, yung kanyang authority. Kasi importante, especially yung extent ng authority, yung scope. Ano? Kasi kung hindi mo alam yung scope ng authority mo, medyo hindi mo alam yung flexibility mo. Di ba? Napakahirap yung situation.
Yeah.
So, and she told me that, that during our meeting, sabi niya, first thing that I will do is to clarify and define the parameters of my position.
By writing Malacanang.
well, napag-usapan din namin, sabi ko, it's better to write down everything kasi mahirap yung verbal. Kasi kung official memo, mas malinaw yon.
Correct. And that's what you were hoping she did.
I did not check anymore because hindi naman ako talaga advisor. Na-consult lang ako once.
Right.
And then we agreed to appoint point persons to deal with each other, to have lateral coordination.
Just a last question on this before we go on a break. Was she right in accepting the job? Was it a good step?
That was a judgment call and everybody was surprised. Pero I think so far, that was the right decision. Because knowing situation had she declined, maraming sasabihin sa kanya. Dahil, di ba, she was criticizing and then in-offer sa'yo yung challenge, ayaw mo
Di mo
naman pala.
tinanggap.
Yes.
Okay.
Ngayon
So, fair
tinanggap
enough.
niya, well, yung mga, of course, kung may malis, sabihin, was it a ruse that it was offered to her? And now, it appears to be parang some kind of a fire that they could not contain
weren't
anymore. They're
ready
trying to
to.
contain
Yeah.
or put off.
They weren't ready to put out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be taking a short break. We're going to talk about the 2020 budget after the break. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today is Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson. Let's talk about the 2020 budget. Sir, let's just be clear about this. Are you saying it's pork-free or are you saying that it's not?
As per the House version, yung tinatawag na General Appropriations Bill, na yung it came from, ang source nito, yung National Expenditure Program submitted by the President
Yeah.
after the SONA. So they transformed it into General Appropriations Bill 1. And then they deliberated on it in plenary do sa House. And then they came up with the General Appropriations Bill 2, which is the House version transmitted to the Senate. As it appears, walang pork, no? Because as announced, 9.5 billion pesos in institutional amendments, talagang yun lang. No? We could not find anything that was manipulated from the National Expenditure Program to the version of the House transmitted to the Senate, 9.5 billion. Ang worrisome is, even after they approved the bill, the House version, on third and final reading, may announcement sila na they're still entertaining a submission of individual amendments to a small group committee. I don't know where that's coming from, but isa lang yung pupwedeng reason. They would still hold on to these individual amendments. We don't know how much. And this would be inserted during the bicameral conference between two reconciled disagreeing provisions ng House version sa Senate version. Yun ang worrisome because yung bicameral conference, napaka-exclusive noon. It's not transparent, it's not open to the public, and only the BICA members are discussing all the possible discussions. Now, we want to clarify, and I intend to clarify this because I will automatically be a member of the bicameral conference committee of the Senate. I would like to clarify because ang intention ng bicameral conference mag-reconcile ng disagreement, meaning i-reconcile lang yung differences
Sa House at
sa House at Senate. Now, but hindi naman ganun nangyayari because there are amendments that come in that are not included in either
Net Gab 1,
version.
Gab 2, and Senate version.
And Senate version. Wala doon. Yun ang nakaka-worry. So, I intend to clarify that during our first day. Dapat, kung meron silang isasama na additional amendments na hindi kasama sa House version, they should submit everything to us first. And we meet as our committee, the Senate committee, discuss it and determine which are acceptable and which are not. And then, ibalik na lang namin sa discussion ng panel, yung bicameral panel, yung mga contentious. Yung mga pwede namin i-accept, fine. Wala nang discussion. And that would be a more systematic way of discussing the two provisions, the two versions.
In plain language, sir, bakit kailangan pa magkaroon ng individual amendments kung sinabmit mo na sa Senado yung budget?
Yun ang hindi ko rin maintindihan. Worse, yun nangyari sa last Congress. Tapos na yung bicameral report, we ratified it, the House ratified it, and then, kasi sila nagpiprint when they printed the enrolled copy, na iba. So we could not agree because, and it's good enough that meron kaming legal guru, si Senator Drilon, who advised Senator Soto, Senate President
Yeah.
Soto, na pwede ka namang pumirma dyan with reservations.
Correct.
Meaning, hindi kasama ito doon sa mga pinirmahan ko. And
Yung nasama sa libro, yung nasama sa pagprint.
nasama sa pagprint na hindi namin ni-ratify.
Yeah.
Kung hindi, we'll be party to the illegal act. No?
So is this better now that at least they're saying that there
Wala
could
pa tayo doon.
Yeah, but they're saying, sir, magkakaroon ng individual amendments. At ngayon parang
If they
binibigyan na
push
kayo
through
ng...
with it, it's no better than the last Congress. Because kung depende sa volume, kasi when they talk
You mean
of...
depende sa magkano, sir? Is volume magkano?
Yes, kung
Okay.
magkano. Kasi kung imamanggal mo yung House version and the Senate version at magbubuo ka ng isang malaking pie within a pie, that would, render unidentifiable yung original versions ng House and the Senate. Masama yun.
What
Bakit
would...
pa kami nagdebate? Bakit pa sila nagdebate? Yung pala,
Well,
mas
I
malaki
was
yun.
going to go to that, sir. Why scrutinize the budget line by line, whoever does that, possibly you, sir, na eventually ang kalalabasan din naman magkakaroon ng individual amendments in the end. Parang if you were to study something, don't you want to study it already now before you actually
But they have not
go on
submitted
bypass?
it.
Yeah, yun
They're
na nga,
still
sir.
keeping it. In case they really entertain more amendments, nasa kanila pa yon. We don't know what those amendments are.
Does the Senate add individual amendments as well?
In the Senate version,
Yeah.
of
Pero
course, we
hindi
debate
yung-
and we also
Absolutely, sir.
introduce amendments.
Ibig ko
no?
sabihin, pagdating ng BICAM, nagkakaroon...
Sometimes, nangyayari rin. And that's the reason why kailangan define namin yung parameters din ng bicameral conference na
Okay.
dapat ito, basically, talagang ibig sabihin ng bicameral conference, reconcile lang yung mga differences, mga disagreeing provisions ng both versions. Nangyayari nga, ang tawag nga sa Bicameral Conference Committee, yun yung third chamber, which is the most powerful chamber ng Congress, unofficially. And in practice, ang nangyayari, okay, we meet there formally, just establish the quorum, tapos we leave it to the chief of or the chairman of the Appropriations Committee of the House and the Senate Committee on Finance chairman. Silang dalawa lang nag-uusap. Last Congress, hindi ganun nangyari because tumutok kami doon. Kami ni Senator Drilon, Senator Villar, yung mga vice chair, nandun kami lahat. So medyo nagkaroon pa ng
Okay. So sa
engagement.
ngayon, it's pork-free.
Right now,
Right now.
it's pork-free. But here's the catch, It seems that they already introduced their amendments, their pet projects, even before the NEP was submitted to the House. Meaning, and ito
okay.
that explains why we saw some vaguely described
Okay.
items in the budget.
Such as, sir,
507 million Cannon Road, period.
meron kasing, just as for the viewers, sir, may nakita ka kasi na Cannon Road na 507 plus may 76. So
76.
nagtaka ka bakit dalawa yung allocation?
Yes. Ang worry ko doon because we have this, merong budget noong 2019, Sorsogon, nag-overlap. Meaning, iba yung contractor ng pa-south, iba contractor ng pa-north. One lane. And then, meron nag-overlap doon na ang dapat savings ng government nasa mga 11 million pesos. Well, small amount, change compared to the
Bigger pie, yeah. Okay.
bigger pie. Pero ang worry ko dito sa Cannon Road, there's this 507 million described as Cannon Road. And then there's this 76 million with the stationing, meaning from kilometer so-and-so to kilometer so-and-so. Baka mamaya, yung
Mag-overlap
76
yung
million,
dalawa. Yeah.
kasama na pala sa 507. So I inquired and I asked DPWH through the sponsor, baka ganito na naman to, parang Sorsogon, para sa Masbate, na nag-overlap because hindi klaro.
And these are the things that you really need to look into, sir. Kasi kailangan nga isa-isahin mo to find out.
Yeah, because
ano yung
we're
mga problema
wasting
dito.
government funds.
Right, okay. But we need to take a short break. We'll be right back. Here's the CUB. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Senator Ping Lacson. I just need to clarify this. Sabi mo, it's pork-free, sir. However, meron silang sinama already doon sa NEP na
Yes.
nanggaling sa Malacanang.
Yes.
So, just to be clear, is there something wrong with that?
there's something wrong if no vetting was done by the agency or agencies concerned. Kung properly vetted, then that's fine.
All right.
Because kung kailangan ng district talaga, tapos vetted, if it's implementable, walang duplication, then that's
Okay
fine.
lang.
But here's the thing, during my interpellation, naka-ready yung mga errata. And mind you, ganito kakapal yung errata, kasing kapal ng budget book. So sabi ko, errata pa lang kasing kapal na ng budget book. Ibig sabihin, naka-ready na rin sila. Because remember, I already exposed some questionable items within the NEP. And I was suspicious na galing na yun sa mga legislators.
Yeah.
So true enough, mukhang in-scrutinize ng binalikan nila, nakita nila maraming mali talaga. So meron ng
Dala-dala
errata.
nila yung errata.
During my interpellation,
Dito.
sabi ko sa kanila, I want a copy of the errata.
Yeah.
Dahil-
Okay. Do you think it's going to be delayed, the budget, sir?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, you don't
We're
think
right on schedule.
Okay. We have run out of time, but Anita, are you looking at 2022, Senator? Because
No,
there are pages being for president.
No, I don't know about those posts. Kung meron mga dating supporters na nagpo-post, then yan.
Would you be open to it, sir?
No answer.
No answer. Okay, thank you. Senator Ping Lacson, he's still gonna go to the Senate.
Yeah.
Meron po kayong round 6 ba ng plenary?
No, we will continue the
ng,
plenary debates,
yeah. So they're gonna talk about the health department,
Yeah,
the
DepEd.
DepEd,
Yeah.
and the OTR, I believe. Senator, maraming salamat. I know you're
Yeah.
busy. Thank you so much for your
Pleasure's
time.
mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us here on The
As
Source.
usual.
I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.